Hi, everyone. I am Kim Richards. I don't think the last live I did, I actually said who I am. But I am the founder of Caring for Mama and really excited about this series because this is what we're all about. We're all about talking about the culture of care and sharing stories of how people like Andrea and other organizations around the country are caring for mamas in different ways. And so I was really excited to have Andrea come on today. We met when we were both starting our businesses not that long ago, right? And it's just another example of the power of women-owned businesses, women caring for mamas coming together, and so much is possible. And so today, what we're going to talk about is some of the work that Andrea is doing related to nutrition, her company, Acorn Oaks Wellness, and some of the tips that she has for us as well. So one thing I wanted to mention actually before we dive in, one of the big reasons why I wanted to start this series too is I saw this stat, and another reason for doing Caring for Mama in general, that women during pregnancy have 700 minutes of care, and postpartum they have approximately 30 minutes of care. Now, I say it to anyone who will listen to me, and I still cannot believe. I mean, I believe it because I experienced it, but it's just such a dramatic stat. And so we're obviously missing the boat somewhere along the line, or many points along the line. And so this is really my way of trying to shift our culture, culture to a culture of care.
Yeah. If the,
Let that be out in the world. Okay, with that being said, please give us a little bit more about who you are and how you came to do the work you do at Acorn Oaks.
Sure. Well, I just want to say thanks for having me. It's so good to see you and be here chatting. And I love your passion for this work and for your desire to want to shift this conversation because it is so, so important. I'm Andrea Rothmuller. I'm the founder of Acorn Oaks Wellness. I'm a functional nutritionist and founder of the After Swim Detox Spray. I have a small and a large. It's After Swim Spray, and then I have a essential oil roller called Mama's Milk Oasis, which I just started making when I was breastfeeding and I had low supply. My journey is I overcame a lot. I overcame mental illness and sugar addiction and a lot of other things. I got pregnant naturally at 40. We had a lot of stress postpartum, had an amazing pregnancy, amazing birth, but lots of external things postpartum on top of already like being a new mom. And my supply took a hit, and I was really passionate about breastfeeding, and I am passionate about breastfeeding. And so I've been working with essential oils for probably close to 20 years now, and I just started making little blends, and I called it Got Milk, and then, that is kind of in conflict with the milk campaign. So changed the name to Mama's Milk Oasis and officially launched Acorn Oaks Wellness in the summer. And yeah, people were asking me for it, friends, because it worked. And I ended up breastfeeding for 21 months, which I did not expect. So it's really an amazing product. And I, still get testimonials from people that they say it's working. And I'm like, yes, I know, but thank you for like reassuring me, telling me, because I love supporting moms on their wellness journeys, breastfeeding journeys. I just truly believe in the power of our bodies to heal and to thrive if we support them and give them what they need. And it's not always easy, it takes a little work, especially when you have a newborn. And but yeah, that's sort of where what I do, and working with moms, women trying to get pregnant and conceive naturally. Through their pregnancy, supporting them and into postpartum, and then working with their kids if they need support with their children too.
Amazing. Well, you're actually a good example of the types of women I have been connecting with and sourcing products from for the care packages, Caring for Mama. And there's so many stories like this of women who've experienced, X, Y, or Z health issue or challenges during pregnancy, or, name the challenge or name the experience, and have decided out of passion or out of a desire to make change they create something new in the world. And there's so much of that now, and it's just so fun to be able to share these stories and also share the products with more women, which is ultimately what I'm working to do. I remembered actually, and we didn't talk about this before, but you told me, what was the origin story of Acorn Oaks? Like, I know there was something sweet about it. Can you share that too? I think that's fun.
Maiden name is Hersicorn with a K, and um, I had Acorn Oaks Wellness with a K. Now it's spelled with a C. Back in 2005, when I was in massage therapy school and finished massage therapy school, Pilates and massage, and I put it on hold. I moved from Florida to LA, and I was working in marketing at Disney at the time, and I was still doing Pilates and massage on the side, and now I'm since retired from both of those. This is before I went back to school for nutrition, but it just sat there for all these years. And when I was making the Got Milk product before I named it Mama's Milk Oasis, I was trying to think of a brand name for my company and for the nutrition, the umbrella business with nutrition and the products underneath it. And I was struggling. And then this name, Acorn Oaks Wellness, just kept coming up. And there's so much symbolism with the acorn and the oak tree and fertility and just letting go in life, and it's just so perfect. And so I'm like, well, nobody, and my Instagram personal name and my instant messenger from back in the day is like Acorn, and with a K, nobody knows what that is, so why don't I spell it the proper way, Acorn with a C. And it's really special because our son's name is Cameron, and so I said, okay, well, perfect, Acorn with a C. The C is for Cameron. And I had a team work on the branding for me, and I absolutely love it. Like, it was a labor of love. We had many revisions for the logo, and I love it. It's so perfect, and it just works. So
And it works.
thanks.
That's like the most important. It works, but yeah, and it's beautiful packaging. Like over on the camera, actually, you can't. In real life, it's beautiful. Anyway, just side note there, but I thought that was
Yeah.
fun. So let's dive into the meat, which is this idea of the culture of care, which I just keep saying it. It's like it's something that you know, if you search for culture of care, a lot of it's about caregiving and caring for the aging population, which is also very important. But in this case, talking about the culture of care as it relates to moms and navigating becoming a mother and the postpartum journey. What are your thoughts? Like, when you think about the culture of care, what does that mean to you? What are your thoughts on what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, that stat that you shared is alarming. I mean, I believe it. It's so sad. And if you look at most every other country in this world besides the US, I mean, what do we get? 12 weeks? The FMLA is 12 weeks. That's nothing. Like, you don't even get through like that 4 month sleep stuff. So yeah, it's extremely sad. It's frustrating, and I know that we can do better. And you have to seek out like external resources, and so much is coming out of our pockets. I mean, I fractured my tailbone in labor, and pelvic PT is very expensive, but very needed and very important. And I know that in other cultures, it's part of the package. As soon as you have a baby, you get that support and that care. And it's just, if you start to dwell on it, if I start to dwell on it too long, I get like really fired up. It's just unfortunate, and it's sad, and we need support as women and as families. And some companies are more generous than others, but 12 weeks is like the basic bare minimum, and that is just not enough for our bodies to heal after we've just given birth. And like, our whole world is changed. I mean, the sleep alone, right? I mean, not to mention everything else. So just, I think there's so much pressure, and it just goes along with everything else in our culture, and like the hurry and the stress, and just that is a contributor to so much extra disease and illness. So how can we heal on so many levels if we have to go back to work in 12 weeks? And we live in California. It's very expensive to live here, and you got to go back to work. So it's just extremely frustrating. And I don't mean to like complain or vent, but you asked my honest opinion. So
Yeah. Oh, and that's what I think is important about this is that, yes, we're acknowledging, first of all, we have to acknowledge, right, that something's not working. And there's a lot of us out there that are doing this work, having these conversations. And I think the more of us that are talking about it, sharing, resources or things that have been helpful, organizations we can join and, help advocate for change at a broader level. I'm involved with the Mom Congress, Chamber of Mothers. There's a lot of one, and Moms First is another one that's been really active this election season. So there's a lot that we can do as advocates, as moms, and then I think, like I said, having these conversations is all part of the contribution. But even more, I really want to hear the stories more specifically about the care that you're giving within your circle. So the work that you're doing, serving the moms through Acorn Oaks Wellness. I love the specifics that we're going to get into shortly, and some tips that you have to remember how to take better care of ourselves. But maybe talk about a little bit more in depth about how you're caring for mama and the work that you're doing, and what that looks like. And then just from there, why don't you go ahead and dive into some of the tips that you have, and the little one pager that you are going to share.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, every single person is different. And so I approach each client that I work with, each mom, different. Everyone has a different health history and different needs. So it's a bio individual approach. But there are some things that are kind of like universal truths, things that everyone can apply. And it's not just nutrition and functional medicine and functional nutrition. We're looking at the entire body, and everything matters and everything plays a part. So, part of me creating this after swim detox spray, which smells so good, it has lavender and vitamin C, is because I was swimming in the pool when I was pregnant. And I know so much about the harmful effects of chlorine and what it can do to the immune system and the hormones and everything. And I'm carrying a baby, but I want to swim because, my back hurts and I'm sore and tight. And so, we can't control everything in our environment. There's environmental toxins all around us, but just giving me the peace of mind that, like, okay, I'm going to spray this on when I get out of the pool. Even it was a saltwater pool, but it still has chlorine, just to neutralize the chlorine and get it off my body. We can't be 100% perfect with everything all the time, but I just feel more peace of mind knowing that, like, I'm doing my part. And I had just posted something on Instagram today that I shared from someone just about, like, little product swaps, because I think, that gets often overlooked, like the products in our home and what we're breathing. Like, that's super important. That's why I love essential oils over candles and other fragrance, because it is so toxic to our endocrine system, our hormones, our respiratory tract. Even our animals and kids can breathe it in. And, even if it gets on the skin, it can be irritating. So I'm really passionate about the environmental toxin piece of it. And it takes a long time to make these changes, and it can be very overwhelming for people. But I say, look, everyone has a goal that they want to work on in their health, whether it's their nutrition. A lot of people want to do weight loss, or maybe it's their sleep or their digestion. If you're to the part where you're like, okay, I want to make swaps with my products, that's a huge topic of conversation too. So I'm supporting people in the way that they need and trying to meet their health goals. A lot of people that I work with will come to me, whether they just had a baby or they're, 3, 5, 10 years postpartum, and their toxic bucket is overflowing because they've just hit a wall, and prevention is a hard sell. I'm very passionate about prevention. I feel like we can do our part, and that's part of, like, the after swim detox spray. Do your part, every day, a little bit at a time. Small things add up and can make a big difference. But if you, are waiting until your symptoms are just, like, unbearable anymore, you're not sleeping, you have major anxiety, you have bloating, gas. I see a lot of digestive issues. I'm very, very focused and dialed in on gut health. I mean, 75% of our immune system is in our gut. It's related to the brain. There's just so much. So depending on the person's goals, and what they are trying to achieve, that's where we start and that's where we look. And, sometimes we're doing functional testing, we're having people track their food, and it's a challenge working with new moms because you're already so busy and overwhelmed with new mom stuff.
Mm.
So it's best if I start working with a client that, is trying to conceive, they get pregnant, and then we work through pregnancy. So by the time they have the baby, they're set, and it's not impossible to work with a new mom, especially if the child's having eczema or, there's some food sensitivities going on. That's something that comes up a lot. And I experienced that with my own son. I mean, I was on a medication for 13 years, had to get off, got pregnant. I mean, I worked on my gut health, but it wasn't perfect. My son had terrible eczema, and we were able to do a gut healing protocol, and now he's, a lot better. So the body is amazing if you give it what it needs. But the biggest thing that I love to teach is on blood sugar balance. If you're um, if you're if you're feeling hangry, or you feel like you're always having granola bar in your pocket, or you can't go a huge stretch without eating because of the mood shift, or you're having unexplained anxiety. Like that actually happened to me years ago before I knew how to balance my blood sugar. I was sitting in the eye doctor one day, everything was fine, but I was just feeling so anxious. And then I realized, like, I really hadn't eaten a balanced meal in several hours. And then, of course, stress plays into it, overworking, the sleep. And so, if you're a new mom, all those things, or, postpartum, any mom, any women, any guys too. I mean, this is just like a stressful life we live in. And so it's all about slowing it down, taking that breath.
Breath.
Yeah. And
I
I
know.
know, sorry,
And
you know,
actually,
not
more join. I want to say hi, everyone who's joining live. Thank you for jumping on. And also, I can see if you're asking questions, you're welcome to ask questions, and we'll have some time at the end to answer. Okay. So just want to throw that out there.
awesome. Yeah. So going back to the whole blood sugar thing, it's like the biggest tool and tip that I like to give people, and it's pretty simple to kind of biohack it. I mean, it takes time. You need to understand what foods might be spiking you, but essentially, you want to eat balanced meals and snacks that all have fat, fiber, and protein. And I'll send you, or we can share however you want to do it, like a little chart that's like a cheat sheet people can put on their phone. So when they're building their meals and snacks, they can eat fat, fiber, and protein. That's the mantra: fat, fiber, protein.
I have it on my phone, and I favorited it, so I will always go back to it. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And I think, just even taking it another level, no naked carbs. So what that means is don't eat fruit by itself. Don't eat a sweet potato by itself. Add butter, add a handful of almonds, add half a hard-boiled egg, a jerky stick, just something to calm that glucose spike. So if you eat a banana, the glucose is going to spike up. And if you think of a fat, healthy fats, okay, as like the log on the fire, it's going to kind of simmer it down a little bit, and it will help you stabilize that blood sugar throughout the day. So you're going to have less cravings, you're going to have less anxiety, you're going to be able to sleep better. And blood sugar and the stress hormone cortisol that is secreted from the adrenal glands, they go hand in hand with each other. So if you've heard people talk about adrenal fatigue, or, I'm just so fatigued, coffee, fried foods, over exercise, overworking, not sleeping, all those things can tax the adrenals, and it affects the blood sugar as well. So it's constantly at play with, they're both at play with each other. So if you're keeping your blood sugar balanced, and your adrenals are going to be more balanced, and vice versa. So I think I covered everything that I wanted to share there. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest tip, I think, is just to pay attention to how you're pairing your foods, and just give it a try for a few days. And the cool thing about it is it applies to your kids. So if anybody watching has kids, I have a 2.5-year-old son, and he never eats fruit by itself, no naked carbs. And he doesn't really know that yet, but he will, and we love coconut butter, coconut manna, and he loves it too. Coconut manna, 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 manna. and we just put a scoop of it next to whatever fruit or right on top of the fruit if he's going to have fruit by itself. And it's great. I mean, of course, he still has meltdowns once in a while, but definitely, you know, really even keeled for the most part, most of the time. Whenever we go to Trader Joe's or Sprouts and he wants a banana, I either have nuts with me, or I'll bring some. I'll have like a half of hard boiled egg, or I'll grab a Chomp's jerky stick, and he's eating the banana and that at the same time. So he's never having naked carbs, and I'm really conscious of that because I know that it works and can make a difference. So if you want to calm those kids' meltdowns, keep their blood sugar balanced too, which will help with sleep. Even though I'm definitely not a sleep expert, that's a whole nother topic with my child mouth breathing at night and him waking early. But it help with the cortisol spiking and the wakings as well.
Perfect. And we have a question, which is, what do you recommend eating or snacking in the middle of the night if you're up feeding your child? That is a great question that every mom needs to hear the answer to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same thing. Fat, fiber, protein. Definitely no naked carbs. So if you want a piece of fruit, have your healthy fat with it. So, it can be an apple with some almond butter, or hard-boiled egg, or a jerky stick, whatever you like. You can have some vegetables with some hummus. Chia seeds are good. So yeah, I mean, obviously this little chart that I'm going to send is not a one size fits all, because everyone reacts differently to different foods. People don't like certain foods. People might be sensitive. If there's an autoimmune condition, they might not be able to have certain foods right now, but it's just sort of an outline to give you some inspiration on how to pair the foods together. I always tell people, like, we have to make a yes list. So this is not about what you cannot eat, but it's about what foods you can eat and what foods are going to be nourishing to your bodies. And one thing that I just thought of is I'm a huge fan of Mama Meals. Holly Stein here in Orange County founded Mama Meals, postpartum meals, and they're amazing. And I was fortunate and blessed to have lots of gift certificates to Mama Meals, and those are really good, yummy foods to heat up in the middle of the night too if you're hungry. But hopefully you can go back to sleep when you're breastfeeding.
Yeah, that's yeah, the mama meals. I've had them on in my mind. I did not know of them when I was early postpartum with my girls, so it's good to know, and I'm definitely planning to share that with more moms through Caring for Mama. So we are getting close to time here. So if anyone has any other questions, please pop them in here. I love to what you mentioned about what's good for us is good for our kids. And it seems obvious, but I do feel like, I mean, when I think of fruit with my children, I call them the fruit monsters, and that's all they want to eat, right? Because it's delicious, and, all the melons and it's juicy and delicious. So it's really helpful reminders for me too, because we're trying to manage our levels of stress, our, rising cortisol levels or stressed adrenals, like you mentioned, but our kids are both affected by how we're feeling in those moments, and they have their own bodies that they're not yet, they don't yet understand how to manage for themselves. So I love that connection and opportunity to help them learn how to take best care of themselves from a young age, right? So that's a beautiful message too. And then what else? We were going to talk about the best way for people to reach out to you. So obviously they can follow you and connect through your Acorn Oaks Wellness Instagram page. Did you want to point to your website as well?
Sure. My website is listed on my Instagram bio, but it's acornoakswellness.com. And so that's where you can purchase the products. I'm not super active on Instagram. It's just such a time suck for me, but it's so important to have a presence on there. So if someone does message me, I will write back to them, but it might not be immediately. And yeah, the website is the best place to order products and reach out for, nutrition consults or working together.
Yes. And the other thing I was going to say, I'm curious, and I didn't ask you this before, but are there any like ready to go snacks that you are a particular fan of that, if, like, for example, in the middle of the night, if you're not able to go prepare yourself a combination of foods, or not even that you're able to prepare them, but even just thinking about what combinations to put together in the middle of the night when you're exhausted. Are there any like grab and goes that people could add to their shopping lists to make
Yeah.
that easier?
And I'm not a huge fan of packaged things. I mean, there are good things out there. I like to refer people to Vonnie, the Food Babes blog, 100 Snacks Better Than Goldfish. So you can look on that list. Depends on your goals, if you're gluten-free or dairy-free. I'm a big fan of avoiding seed oils like canola oil. They can be very inflammatory to the body. So there's not a lot of snacks that are seed oil free, but you can get a bag of almonds. You can portion them out in little containers. You can have a nanny or babysitter or a family member that's coming over to help you, like put them to work, help them, have them help you do food prep. But nuts, jerky sticks, like I like the Chomps or the brand my husband likes. I think it's called Primal something. Um, you know, you can have some hard boiled eggs, some veggies, seaweed. It just, I'm not like a huge packaged snack person. And I do spend a lot of time preparing. I know that's not the reality for everybody, but there are, some decent things out there that, if you eat dairy, you can do like full fat cheese sticks. A lot of people like that. Um, coconut chunks, things like that. And the list that I'll send out has some ideas on there as well.
Apparently, I didn't look close enough. It's on my phone, but I didn't set
Yeah,
it.
and I think that's a huge part of something I do with my clients too is just help with meal preps and planning, because it's so hard when you just have like a pantry or refrigerator full of ingredients, but nothing is made. I mean, we've been in that dilemma for many times. You're like, we have nothing to eat. We just have ingredients, but nothing is made or assembled. And
Yes.
so I think it's just a shift in thinking of like slowing down and, getting your kids involved, getting extra help if you need it, ordering from Mama Meals, or, I know of another company in Orange County, Nutravenience, and her name's Bree, and she does meal prep food. My sister has a company in Florida. So it's a big thing because people are busy, and it's hard if you're working, if you have to go back to work after 12 weeks, you know, to run the household and have food. I mean, the crock pot is a great thing, the instant pot. But just like if it's a priority to you to feed yourself well, you have to make time for that meal prep. And my husband and I, talk about it every week, and we share responsibilities, but he's a blessing. He cooks so many of our meals almost every night just because of how our schedules are. But I'm doing my son's breakfasts and lunches, and it's a lot of like prep and cooking and thinking ahead and planning. And I know it's challenging as a new mom to do that. So it's like, where can you reach out for help? And then finding those like, healthier snacks that you can grab and go, to your point, but it does take a little bit of extra work.
No, that's just reality. That's true. Um, okay, great. Well, um, we can go ahead and wrap it up if no one else has any questions, but please do stay in touch. If you want, if those watching or tuning in haven't followed caringformama.co, please do follow. And if you are wanting to connect with Andrea, please do. And if you have any questions for me, any thoughts, ideas for products that you love, I'm always looking for new products from women-owned businesses all over the country. So please reach out with ideas, connections, any ideas you have are welcome. So thank you so much. And what? Oh,
Hopefully we'll do this one in like a breast in the future.
yes, we're gonna do something for sleep.
You want
Am
to
I right? Yes, that's something I'm still struggling with. So I would actually use that myself. Yeah. So please stay in touch. So grateful to Andrea that we're doing the this entrepreneurial journey together, and that you're doing such important work supporting moms. And just thank you for your time today. And we will be in touch soon.
Thank you.
All for tuning in. See you next time.